I watched Gary Vaynerchuk when he came out with Jab, 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 Right Hook, one of his books.
Yeah.
And he was doing podcast episodes on his phone with his baby in his arms while he was eating cereal. And he would do like 16 of them a day to promote his book. And I was like, well, if he'll do that. And then I also saw Neil deGrasse Tyson. He did a podcast one time for Death by Black Hole, which is one of his books. And I think that they had 34 subscribers and he still did their podcast. And I was like, okay, if Neil deGrasse Tyson and Gary Vaynerchuk are willing to do this, then I'm going to do the same thing.
16 podcasts a day?
That's an awesome.
Yeah, he's probably done 16 a day.
Like half an hour
He was
each.
doing like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And he would just book them like crazy.
The short
And he would
format.
it literally would say yes to everyone. He told his people to say yes to everyone. So I pretty much, there's nobody I'll ever say no to. I mean, listen, I've said this before. Benito Mussolini was alive. I'd have him on my podcast. Like I don't say no to anybody. So, it's just different, for different people. But yeah, I think a lot of people should be like that. I do know one thing I thought was interesting was Bilzerian, when he came out with his book, The Setup, he would do anyone's podcast as long as you read the book for like a 2 or 3 week period.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people just wouldn't read the book, so he wouldn't go on their podcast.
How does he know that they read the book? Is he
I
asking
mean,
questions?
he could ask a couple of
On
questions.
what
I can
page
tell.
did
He
I?
quizzes
did I-
them. He gives them a.
It wasn't that, but like the thing that's so weird, that's so odd about that book specifically for me is like the book is a bestseller, but I was there for some of the things that happened.
Yes.
And so it was, uniquely interesting to me. And I talked to him for 30 minutes and I asked him questions nobody had ever asked before. I think with him, with David Buss, Ty Lopez, and with Rollo Tomasi and a couple other people, I have the most thorough interview anyone's ever done because I did probably 12, 16 hours of study. For Dan, obviously, it was way more than, it was like 10 years of me being his friend, of on and off, like, communication and contact with him. And I think what I try to do for my show is at the end for people to say that is the interview of record, right? If somebody's like, what is the best interview anyone's ever done? It's going to be the one that I did of him. I also think if I had a little bit more time, I think you could say that about Richard Reeves a couple of weeks ago too. I just do more study than anybody else. I'll read all your books and then watch, about 100 hours of your stuff in order to get ready for an episode.